It's overwhelming, but it's also our jobs.
Our job is only going to get harder.
It's worrisome.
This is something that's unprecedented.
Now is not the time to be a cowboy. No one has anything to prove. We're all in this together.
Welcome to reporting from the front line of the pandemic. I'm Victoria Gonzalez, and I'm here with Angelina Salcedo, a news reporter at 10 News WTSP in Tampa, Florida. Thank you, Angelina, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So I just wanted to get started by asking you, how have you had to adjust the way that you work during this COVID-19 pandemic?
It's been a lot of adjustment, I think, for our whole entire newsroom, not just me. At the beginning, we definitely, I would say, probably didn't think that it was going to end up being the way that it is now. Our station is owned by Tegna, and I would say that Tegna has kind of spearheaded all of the changes that we make at the station, and we were probably the first station in our market to start working remotely and making different changes here and there to make sure that we were practicing social distancing and making sure that we were being safe and keeping other people safe as well while we were trying to do our jobs. So I would say it's been maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks now that I at least have been working remotely. The way that it worked was that they sent all of the photographers could not come into the building and they had to work remotely. So they started off with them. And then they started moving into the reporters. And then, so I got sent home. And then after that, the web team got sent home, all of sales and everyone else that was in the building. So now we just have key people that are in the building. And I don't know, because I haven't been in the building for about 2 weeks, but I think that we have 10 or less people that are at the station. And that was their goal. Since here in Florida specifically, you can't have groups of more than 10 people wherever you are. In terms of reporting, I do a lot of stuff digitally now. So interviews just like this via Skype or Zoom or Facebook video chat has been a big one for me. And then I'll record it straight on my desktop, or I'll find a cool, interesting shot that I can shoot with my camera, and then I'll shoot stand-ups in my house. Or there are times that I do still get to go out in the field and I still get to report that way, depending on the story. We do have like poles that our photographers have that our microphones are attached to, so that way we keep that 6-foot distance between us and whoever we're interviewing. And we're not allowed to lav mic anyone at all, so that way the mic doesn't touch them. Another thing, let me see, what else have we done? They're very specific with photographers trying to stay working with the same reporter if they do end up working with a reporter. That way we don't, I guess, if one of us were to get sick, we're not spreading it to several different employees. But it's been an adjustment working from home and working remotely, trying to pull things off of the system and make sure that you have all the video that you need when you're working from home. But I think that we're doing good, and I know that it's all for our safety. So it's been interesting, but I think it's a good thing.
You listed a lot of the ways that the reporters are keeping themselves safe on the street, but what are some precautions that the news station has taken that they didn't have to before?
We got, as soon as it started really like ramping up and we started talking to people about cleaning their spaces and making sure that everything was disinfected and sanitized, the whole station went through a whole deep clean with a specific like company. So they brought in someone that was actually one of my stories one day, because they were just there basically for hours from top to bottom, deep cleaning and disinfecting the station. And I'm trying to think too, each of us got our own station car if we could. So all of our cars are given out to single people. They had to clean and disinfect those cars too before they gave those to us. They bought us hand sanitizers, hand wipes to keep within our cars, so that way we can clean whenever we are out, or if we were to share cars, everything has to be wiped down. Same thing for all of our gear too. Most of us have our own set of gear. It's not like we're sharing with other people. But we still have to make sure that we wipe it down and keep everything sanitized as well. Like I told you, in terms of interviewing people, no lav mics. And then we have those poles, or a lot of our photographers will use like our mic stands, and they'll have a little mic holder that'll attach to the mic stand, and they'll just kind of set up kind of like a mini podium. Another rule that they enforce too is that we cannot go to press conferences in person. Um, a lot of the press conferences that our elected officials were doing were indoors. And so by us telling them that, it either forced them to either do it via like a Facebook Live and take our questions that way, or they had to move their press conferences outside. Because as long as we're outside and we're 6 feet away and kind of far away, then that works. But even then, they'd prefer for us to just take it virtually off instead of going and having to meet with people and be in contact with people.
Right.
We do station updates really frequently with our GM and our news director. They give us updates all the time of things that are changing, different processes that Tegna, our company, wants to implement. And they do a really good job, honestly, and making sure that we're all in the loop and also checking in on our mental health and making sure that we're okay. Because they know that this is a big shift for everyone, but it's a large shift in what we do on our day-to-day basis, because at the end of the day, we have a first responder status. And say like right now, 2 of our counties are under a safer at home order. So basically that means that you shouldn't leave your house unless you're going to the pharmacy, the doctor, or you're going to the grocery store and have something that's an essential need. But for us that basically have to go out every day to work, we're cleared just like a first responder would be to go to and from our house and leave. So they've done a great job, I think, at learning, because it's a first for everyone, but also making sure that we're all informed and that we're okay with everything that's happening. And they're always taking suggestions from us too. It's a lot of things. Obviously, this is something that's unprecedented, but it's a lot of stuff that you, I guess, didn't think that we never thought that we would have to go through. We never thought that we were going to have to make this shift the way that we have. But I think now more than ever, we've realized just how important local news has become to our communities, because at the end of the day, we're giving them the information that they need. So it's been good. Yeah.
So how have you been finding your stories? Like I saw the one that you did about the women that make the masks.
Well, so the mask one I ended up finding on Facebook. I know that PPE, the shortage of PPE has been something that's huge. Our healthcare workers here are out there on the front lines, and our first responders as well are out there on the front lines, and they don't have what they need in order for them to do their job on a day-to-day basis. That's very concerning to them. So there were these 2 women that ended up starting this group on Facebook, and I found them just by searching like PPE Tampa or something like that, and I ended up finding that group. And so I reached out. I basically just friend people, or I'll send a message and kind of explain, but that's definitely changed too, how I reach out to people. And so I now I just kind of walk them through and explain, hey, I can either do something that's in person, 6 feet away and only outdoors, or I could do like a Skype interview or a video chat interview, and either one will work perfectly fine. And then I just walk them through like normal, like what my deadline is, kind of what it'll be like, and that type of thing. But in this case, they were okay with me coming to them and being outside. So I got assigned a photographer, and we ended up going and we shot it together. But I don't think that much has changed in terms of me finding my stories. I'm on the night side shift, so I'm on the night show. And they tend to want smarter content on the night show that's going to be very informative and not necessarily, now we're kind of switching it, because we do want things that are going to give people more of like an uplifting mood, but at the same time, we want that good balance of things that are going to be really informative, and give people the information that they're looking for, because they are stuck at home, and at the end of the day, they're tuning in to make sure that they know everything that they need to know. So I've just been searching on Facebook, and I'm in a lot of different community groups, so kind of gauging what everyone's going through in their community, and then I'll decide from there. It's shifted a lot in the sense of we have so many press conferences now. Our governor's constantly giving updates and constantly speaking. The president as well is constantly giving an update, and those tend to happen around like 5 or 6 o'clock. And so they happen right during the show, and then that kind of shifts what we cover nightside. So most likely I'll probably get switched to something else based off of what they announce, because everything's changing hour by hour. So it's a little bit of that, and it's a little bit of me doing my own legwork in terms of finding people that are okay with sharing their story, and finding things that are really going to help the community too at the same time.
And what has been the hardest thing about covering this pandemic?
That's a good question. I think I mean, obviously, I wouldn't say that the changes are that hard. It's very different not getting that face-to-face interaction with people that you're used to interacting with the whole entire day. At the end of the day, we're like a little news family. So we do our meetings through Zoom, just like we are right now. So we get to see each other virtually and stuff like that, which is cool. But that process has been different. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's been hard. I think that maybe the hard part is the mental stuff, I guess, that you think of, because you want to do your job and you want to make sure that you're informing, but when you take a step back and kind of really realize what's happening in the world and how surreal really it is, that's probably what takes a toll, I think, not even just on me, but on everyone. You know, every day we get new numbers of new positive cases, and unfortunately a lot of different patients that have died because they couldn't fight the coronavirus. And we have to report those numbers, obviously. And for me, I've been doing like a daily update on Twitter so that my followers will know and stay informed and stuff like that, and they kind of look forward to it just to see how the state's progressing. But at the end of the day, that's a loss of a life, and it's sad that we're seeing so many different cases and a lot of people can't fight the illness. So I think that that's been the hardest part, maybe, is the mental aspect of it all, and really realizing that in years from now, once this is all gone, we're going to be a part of history, and we're experiencing history right now. But it's just unprecedented, and it's something that we didn't think that we were going to have to go through. So you just try to find different things to help you, like, disconnect here and there. And keep your spirits high, and I also try to maybe keep other people's spirits high too, because at the end of the day, everyone is a lot of people aren't as fortunate as me to be working like I still am, and it's hard to see people going through tough times like that. I always say, granted, our job is like that on any given day, right? We meet people on their best days and we meet people on their worst days, but it can be taxing, and it can take a toll to see so many people going through stuff and really just needing help, and knowing that you can't 100% help them or just give them what they need. But we're doing our part by trying to inform them and try to keep them happy and just make sure that they're okay.
It's good that even though you're keeping them informed on all the really bad things happening, it's good that you're also sharing stories to uplift them and give them hope that there's good things still happening, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
I would say
help.
so. Yes.
And what is something that has surprised you the most out of your coverage?
I think what surprised me the most is the fact that at the end of the day, something that's like this, that's not the most positive thing, is bringing people together. I think that that's what's really surprised me. And it's kind of sad that it has come to this point where it's kind of forced people to be together, you know? But it's nice to see that at the end of the day, people are taking time to actually be with their families, and parents are now forced to teach their kids at home and make sure that they're entertained. The other day I went out and I ended up taking my dog for a walk, and there were people having picnics with their families and their kids and stuff, or there were just people out exercising, because basically that's all we can do now. So it's nice to see the fact that as much as we are separated and we can't have that human connection, it has brought families and friends together, and it's kind of taught people what really matters the most. I think that has been the biggest takeaway for me. And I think from like the technical aspect on like my newsroom and stuff like that, it's really awesome to see that we're able to pull this off. and we can do everything that we're doing kind of like normal, but not really, from our homes. I mean, I watch our newscast every night, and I'm just so shocked. Like, weather's from home, and one of our anchors is at home, and sports is home, and then we're home, and like it's just like crazy to see that it can all function and kind of be normal. But I really do appreciate people coming together and kind of trying to uplift one another and send little positive messages here and there. That's the biggest takeaway for me, for sure.
It's sad that it took this like terrible, so many tragedies happening, so many people losing their lives, but
Yeah.
It's good to have people still, want to get together and uplift each other, for sure.
Yeah, it's like that forced moment of like, stop, pay attention, and this is what's important. This is what should be important to you. Kind
It's
of
very
take a step
eye-opening.
back. Yes, exactly.
So what kind of messages do you get from viewers?
Oh man, You get a lot of both. You can either get positive or negative. So now I feel like the most messages that I get are questions from people just about the virus and about if they can get tested, where they can get tested, where they can go, or like the new orders that were put in place. What does that mean? Can I leave my house? What can I leave my house for? If I need help or assistance, how can I get that? So I definitely get a lot more of that now. You get your negative messages here and there talking about how like the coronavirus isn't real, or that I'm just, a lot of what it was at the beginning was, oh, you're playing into the panic and the hysteria of the coronavirus. And I honestly, I'm really transparent on my social media, and I'll just answer people, and I'll, like, if it's on Twitter, I'll just quote tweet them, and I'll just say, hey, listen, this is information that we're getting directly from the Department of Health. It's not something that we're just like throwing out there just because we want to throw it out there. It's important information that people need to know because it's about their community. I don't necessarily think that that's me feeding into panic or hysteria or telling people that they need to be concerned. I think our main message specifically for our station, because we have our motto and our slogan throughout this whole time has been facts, not fear, is that we're trying to inform you, but we're not trying to scare you. We want you to know this information so that you can take it and keep you, your family, and your loved ones that are close to you safe. But at the same time, don't necessarily panic, because you, in moments like this, you need to stay calm and you need to just process the information and use it to your advantage so that you can keep yourself safe and healthy. So I got a lot of that. And then I get, honestly, now I've gotten a lot more thank yous than I ever have. And it's nice because you don't necessarily expect it. But beforehand, I think that the media has been under scrutiny for a very long time. And now people are realizing that at the end of the day, especially during something like this, you need the media because you have to stay informed in some way, shape, or form. So it's kind of given us more in other people's eyes of like more of like an importance type of thing. And it's nice to see that people are realizing that we are trying to inform them the best we can, and that we are trying to help them in any way that we can too. At the end of the day, this is our community. We live here too, you know. Yes, we're doing our job. Yes, we're on TV or however you might view it, but our community, we're a part of the community that's suffering and taking a hit too, and that also needs help. So it's nice to see that people recognize that.
And what are some other changes that you're expecting in the newsroom and in your coverage?
You know, I don't 100% know. I feel like I'm confident in saying that, just because things are changing so frequently. I do know that, like, we had I believe that we were supposed to be able to go back to the station possibly by like April 10th. That's now been extended. So I anticipate a lot of dates being extended and us not being able to go back to normal for a very long time. In terms of different changes to coverage, I don't really know that it can change much more than what it has been, at least for me. Because at the end of the day, I work from home every single day, and whether I'm out in the field and that type of thing, maybe that'll change. Maybe it'll come to the point where like you cannot go out at all. I don't know if we'll get to that point, hopefully not. But I really don't anticipate much change for us than what it has been so far.
How are you dealing with the stress?
I have a puppy and I have a boyfriend too, and so we're kind of bouncing off one another, and our puppy is a great she's a great stress reliever. She's awesome. She sometimes sits with me during our meetings too, and a lot of my other coworkers have dogs too, and cats, and so we see like one another's pets via Zoom. That's pretty cool. But honestly, just knowing when, I guess, to disconnect. I'm honestly probably one of the people that's not very good at disconnecting. I'm really not that great at it. I feel like I always have to be in tune, and I always have to be paying attention to the new numbers that are coming out, and if there's any updates, and seeing what people are talking about on social media. So I'm not that great at it. I think it's something that I'm going to learn through this process, is learning to give my mind like a mental break from everything. But that's pretty much what I do to cope with stress is talking to family, calling my family that's at home, that's in Boston. because I know that since we're separate, each state's going through different things. So making sure that I'm staying in tune with what's going on back home too, while I'm making sure that I know what's happening here, and just trying to, sometimes I'll just go outside, just take a breath and just relax, go on a walk. And that's pretty much what I do.
So what about when, how do you balance work and home? Like for now, since you do have to be working from home, what about when you have those long days, like on the field? How do you balance that when you get home from like a long night?
When I get home, I feel like it's the same. If I get to go out, honestly, out into the field, I'm so excited because I just get to leave my house, and I feel, because I'm here all the time now. So even though I'm working, that was something that was kind of weird for me, especially because I just changed schedule. So I was on the weekend before, now I'm just going to be weekday. And so this week has been a long week for me because I work from Saturday all the way up until Friday. So that Monday, where I'm used to just laying in bed kind of basically all day or just doing stuff at home, I didn't have that opportunity, but I was still home and I had to work. So that was kind of weird for me, and it kind of threw me off. But I don't know. I'm so excited whenever I do get to go out, because you get to have like that human interaction. And when I come home, it's just like, okay, I'm home now, I just go to sleep. So it's not necessarily going out that really, I don't know, is like tiring for me. I guess maybe it's just being at home and knowing that at the end of the day, this isn't really like my home, like my work office, and try to distinguish the space between like work, home, work, home. Okay, now you can take a break. Now you can relax. But that's pretty much it. I love getting to go out, and my coworkers laugh at me all the time because like I just love being out and just talking to people and doing stories. And like some of my favorite coverage is like breaking news or if there's like severe weather and stuff like that. Like I love that stuff. So me being out is not a concern for sure.
Gives you an adrenaline rush.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, for sure.
What's your advice to anyone wanting to go into broadcast journalism?
I would say that you should definitely pursue it. If you're passionate about it, if you feel like this is something that you love, you should pursue it for sure. I think that what's happening right now is going to change the way that people view local media and just media in general for a very, very long time. I'm almost looking at it like it's giving us another opportunity to show people what we're made of. I saw a meme the other day, or I think it was a tweet from someone that was saying, I think we're so used to doing like the day-to-day grind that like we slack off here and there, or like we're just goofing around or whatever. And yes, we're telling our stories, but we're a little bit more relaxed than what we should be. Now is the time to step it up. Now is the time to do the best work that you can do. And I fully agree with that. And for whoever wants to get in, and I really do think that you should, I think that this is giving us, as bad as it is, it's giving us another opportunity. And it's giving people a reason to want to tune in and to want to read the newspaper and to want to listen to the radio. So you should do it, no matter what aspect of it that it might be. I think that you should definitely do it and pursue it and put your whole heart into it, because at the end of the day, it's worth it. It's gratifying. And if it's something that you love, you'll really see that after you turn your work every single day, or when you see your final product, you'll like what you see, and it makes you feel good to know that you're helping your community.
That's really good advice. And even like when you were saying, when you got certain messages from viewers that they ask you questions, like even though you do get those bad messages, people still look up to you as like a good resource to get information if they don't have it anywhere else. So that's definitely a point that you bring up.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And you guys can do it. I mean, coming out of Emerson, you guys will be ready for sure. For anyone that thinks that like you're not going to be ready, you definitely will. There are things that you're going to learn, obviously, naturally, when you're on your own or when you're actually doing the job, because you spend so much time saying like, well, I want to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then you graduate, you get a job, and then that's it. You're doing it. But you can do it. There are going to be things that you are going to learn along the way. That's okay. That happens. But you guys are going to be a lot more prepared than a lot of other kids that are graduating from other colleges in different parts of the country. So you guys can do it for sure.
We hope so. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, I don't know, not really. I mean, I remember when I was in college that I used to watch the news all the time and watch national and the local news there in Boston and stuff like that. And then, what was the biggest news then? Man, I'm trying to think. We had lots of wars going on, not wars, but like stuff that was going on abroad that I would pay attention to and watch, like the international correspondence. And man, I'm trying to think of the other thing where lots of people were protesting. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I just remember sitting there watching and watching reporters report in the midst of like everyone protesting and all the tear gas being thrown and stuff like that. And that was like that was in our country. That wasn't like abroad. And that for me was pretty crazy. So now you guys get to watch this. Make sure that you're paying attention, learn from it, and learn from everything that we're doing now, because you will use it later on down the road in the future. So, and reach out if you ever have any questions. I'm always here.
Well, thank you so much, Angelina, for taking the time to talk to me and for all the work that you're doing to keep us informed and safe. And thank all of you for watching this episode of Reporting from the Frontline of the Pandemic. Again, I'm talking to Angelina Salcedo, a news reporter at 10 News WTSP in Tampa, Florida. And I'm Victoria Gonzalez.